Hey everyone, it is Jacob Palmer here. Um, I thought I could do this through the live feed on our channel, but other than that, let's go ahead and get into our topic for today. It is going to be about kind of like a little bit of a theory side of things, seeing what if, inside Star Wars, if Anakin decides to um, not only go over to the mainland of the whole Jedi Council, but to, however, find a more ancient Jedi temple. So, anyway, the reason why I'm doing this platform, besides doing it in picture form, is because I'm just only experimenting on this video, just seeing which way we can do it with our theories videos. But other than that, this is how things will end up turning out to be in this story. For the what if, on if Anakin ends up finding a completely different temple besides the main temple on Coruscant. So, with this story being told, it will start off back in the time where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn are still alive and roaming, and have already picked up Anakin. Very, very young Anakin. It comes to the part where Anakin basically ends up getting some kind of vision, some kind of foresight, some kind of maybe even a communication from someone that seems to not be living at this point in time. And Anakin felt kind of curious of who he was getting the visions from. He sees gunfire and blasters, and seeing the Jedi and the Sith with various types of lightsabers. He sees the much more deeper level of the Force that these Force users were able to emit. But he only just sees it as a vision at this very point in time. So, as time goes on, he starts to think about it. While he's going from hut to hut on Naboo. Then, as they gather around to figure out what place they want to send Anakin, in terms of how things are going to go, Qui-Gon, instead of deciding to go to Coruscant, he decides to find a brand new console, to find a brand new temple. A temple that hasn't been used for a millennia now. So he ends up giving the coordinates to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan hears from Qui-Gon that Qui-Gon said, Obi-Wan, I want you to watch over the young boy, Annie. He is wanting to be a part of us, but I sense a bit of a disturbance in the Force. So, going over to Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan ends up replying, this is somewhere we've not been to before, Master. How about we check it out? See if there are any life forms on that planet. And then going over to Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon says, I do sense that there are some life forms on that planet. So he ends up telling Obi-Wan that he doesn't want to continue to watch over Obi-Wan and Anakin, but to see if he could find his own teacher, his own master, that being Count Dooku, even though he's not the Count at this very point in time. So, when Qui-Gon basically goes to go meet with Dooku at this point in time, he basically states to Dooku that there has been some kind of disturbance in the Force, and he is very much knowing that there's got to be some kind of influence of the dark energy, the dark side of the Force. So when Obi-Wan and Anakin are on their way towards the nebula by now, that means Qui-Gon and Dooku are in the middle of some kind of conversation between each other, trying to figure out who is sending this energy, who is creating this deadly force of energy of the Force. So they come up with the plan of, the Jedi may not be the best in the world, but also that there is something very troubling in the Force when it comes to the Sith side, the dark side of the Force. That they were getting some kind of feeling or some kind of premonition about. So, while both Qui-Gon and Dooku are discussing about things, trying to figure out who this cloaked entity is. Um, you know that being in our world of how the Star Wars story had gone, this cloaked being was none other than the Chancellor, Palpatine. But anyway, um, as they're talking about themselves, and about some situations going on at this point in time with each other, about the unraveling of the people creating this um, evil side of Force users again after a long time frame. Um, we're going to talk about the time frame when Anakin and Obi-Wan discovers this new planet, a planet that has been kicked off of the um, Force user maps for quite a long while now, because the Coruscant thought that this planet was completely destroyed, but it still stood, still remained. So, with that being said, the story goes how Anakin is communicating on comms with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they are both flying in a singular plane. Inside, mainly Obi-Wan's Jedi jet fighter. Obi-Wan tells young Anakin that this planet was given through information from Qui-Gon Jinn, that this planet actually had still life on there. So once they got inside view of this planet, Anakin starts to shift. He starts to feel something again, just like as if he was feeling that same feeling from back on Naboo. Feeling something deep within him. Something that would bring him to a deeper sense of who he was deep down. So he was very questionable about it, but he had the feeling of, you know what if I talk to Obi-Wan about this? What if I tell Obi-Wan that I'm feeling something very particular about this planet, or somewhere even close by to this planet? And so he talks to Obi-Wan saying, Obi-Wan, I think I'm feeling something. It's kind of, kind of sending me ways of visions. And then shifting over to Obi-Wan point of view, Obi-Wan says, that is the wave of the Force, Anakin. Not just some regular vision. And the Force can act in mysterious ways. If I don't continue to remind you. And so Anakin basically realizes that it's not just any kind of vision, that it's a premonition, that it's something that has been drawing him in. So he ends up with Obi-Wan entering into the planetary field guideline, moving in towards the ground level of the planet. And as they land, Anakin starts to feel it even stronger, as if he has some kind of energetic metal detector, as if he's feeling something getting closer and closer. So Obi-Wan ends up stating to Anakin before they step off the ship, while they are in the middle of talking about this premonition and the connection of the Force, Obi-Wan says that to Anakin, saying that he wants Anakin to feel into the Force, to follow and guide towards it, to allow the Force to flow through him. And that was the amount of words that fueled Anakin, that gave Anakin some kind of understanding of how the Force worked. So it didn't give him the full range, but it did give him some kind of movable effort, some kind of realization of it. So Anakin at this time ends up going over to some kind of planet native hut, where all these people are communicating with each other, but it's not in the usual dialect that these two Jedi, or the Jedi and soon-to-be Jedi, actually recognize. So while Obi-Wan is communicating with these beings, trying to figure out what these beings were trying to talk about, Anakin kind of at some point picks up on something that the natives say that hits him at a more of a spiritual level, at the level of the Force communicating through him to tell him what's being said, what's being brought up. So Anakin ends up following his compass of the Force, trying to figure out where these premonitions are coming from, and he ends up following a path to a deserted temple. A temple that has been long forgotten. So Anakin ends up looking all over the place, seeing if there's any staircases, or if there's any kind of place to lift himself up to the platform. But he ends up seeing a partially ruined stairwell that leads him up to the top. So his statement about the place was that he looked at it and he said, "This place looks so weakened." He feels like that some kind of attack had occurred a long time ago, and now that the place is now rotting away into nature. So as he's getting closer and closer to the doorway of the temple, he starts to getting a much more deeper premonition. Something that's just blasting in his mind, blasting in front of him and in his eyes. So he ends up looking around at the grounds of the temple, and he's like, interesting. There's even still a ship here. And so he got curious and was like, I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to see what this place truly is. I know it's a temple, but what temple is it? So he steps through this temple, going through the door, but finds out that lots and lots of the lights have been shut out, or even close to being out. So as he's going down each corridor, trying to allow the use the way of the Force to guide him like a compass, he figures out that there's this one particular room that glows. And he's hearing voices very, very deep within him. He hears the voices of who used to have been there. He hears the voices of all these energies that flow through here. And he also even received some kind of vision of someone around that corridor. So he steps into that room after time and time again of trying to open that door up, trying to fidget with the key panel, trying to figure out what passcode it was, and he finally at some point in time finds out what that key code is. He steps through and finds out what has been glowing up in the first place. He finds out that the glowing came from a massive chest. And so as he's walking towards the chest, the voices are getting louder, but one voice booms past it all. He hears this: I notice that you have some kind of ability that you've not understood yet. And Anakin froze in shock, thinking that somebody was alive and behind him. So he slowly turned around and saw a ghost. So he jumped and frightened, and thought that, this being was going to go after him in terms of being a ghost. But this being ends up saying, "Don't worry, boy. I'm only here to show you what your true potential is." And so Anakin froze after being frightened and stood back up and replied, "I have a power within me? Is there something special that I need to learn?" And so this being, this Force ghost, ends up stating to Anakin that he wants Anakin to open up the chest to see what this chest reveals. So Anakin does. He hears from this Force ghost about how to get into the chest, and the Force ghost says that he tells Anakin that whatever is in the chest was meant for him, that it was something that he had that was going to be given to him for him to realize what his future was about, for what his abilities were. So Anakin ends up opening the chest and looks in, and Anakin just goes wide-faced with awe and is shocked about what he sees. He sees old robes, an old mask, and 2 lightsabers, and a couple of logs that were saved. So Anakin goes ahead and tries to pick up the mask, and the mask instantly takes him in to some kind of vision, to a woman that is protecting her place, trying to protect the group of gatherers, of protectors. He sees in awe how it goes from the first moment of wearing the mask of the original wearer to the moment of that original wearer having their death, and then going fast forwarding to a moment where someone by the name of Revan himself picks up this mask and is shocked by what he sees. As if after Revan seeing what he saw, Anakin saw exactly what Revan saw. The bloodshed. The very terrifying death. The struggle of protecting. Then he after that, picked up the robe, thinking that each item had a story of its own. As he picked up the robe, he snapped into another vision. A vision of Revan's love and care, and as well as even some truth behind it. Making sure that all the Jedi and all the Sith don't perceive lies as the truth. Making sure that all Force user understands the truth and nothing but the truth. And also even teaching those that were under Revan about the different types of forces. Something had ignited inside Anakin at this point in time, where he goes from really upset about the death in the mask to more of a light-hearted side of his life, where he felt like peace was right in front of him. So he ends up seeing the beginning and the end of the love relationship between Revan and his lover with the robes. And then as time goes on, he then shifts from the robes to the lightsabers. Both lightsaber that Revan had owned. He felt in both hands, each lightsaber, the darkness that the Sith saber had held, and the balance that the Jedi lightsaber had held. And with that being said, the Force Ghost reached out, telling Anakin, do not falter either to the good or to the evil. Only focus on the balance. And Anakin took it in word for word, knowing exactly what must be done, as if he was starting to realize what his mission was. As being a beginner of being a Jedi. And not just only a Jedi, but also understanding even some values of the Sith. And so he ends up looking back at the Force Ghost after seeing the premonitions. And he talks with this Force Ghost saying, are you that person from the visions that these things are giving me? And so the Force Ghost ends up replying, I am indeed that one. My name is engraved right above you. And so Anakin turns around, looks at the stone above above the coffin of which where Revan lays. And he sees the name. The name matches the person inside the coffin. His name was known as Revan. And Anakin turns around and he's like, "Wait, you're telling me you're Darth?" And right before he finishes his question, Revan disappeared. But however, his Force ghost was still around, watching the young boy, seeing what he would do. So, things were starting to click and crumble and shake, as if something had disturbed the temple. So Anakin felt like it would be a disgrace to leave the stuff of Revan's behind. So he carries as much as he could, trying to find some way of how he can carry it simply. So he ends up tying it with some string that he used as a belt on his clothes, and kept it all together. And so Anakin ends up going over to the place of where the entrance is, and things are falling and crashing down beside him. And so there's a turnabout that gets very close to the door frame of the temple, and a massive boulder falls, only blocking part of his way to get out. So Anakin is like, how can I clear this? How can I get this out of the way? And so Revan reaches out and he says, "Focus from within. Feel the Force. It will come to use to you. Let it naturally flow in you." So Anakin closes his eyes, steps into a stance of natural force using, and starts to lift his hand out as if he was about to lift something. But Anakin did not know personally of what he was doing, but only allowing the Force to guide him. So he ends up allowing the Force to have his hand lift up. And as he lifts up the whole entire boulder, he shoots it out through the doorway. And as he's walking out, he ends up seeing where the stairwell is. and the stairwell has been officially fully damaged to the point where he can't come back down from the temple. So he then starts thinking, okay, this is pretty high up. I need to find some way to get myself down. How am I going to be able to do it? So he ends up going over to some kind of ledge, seeing some grown vines that are wrapped around the entire temple that is good enough for him to climb down. So he goes off to the side, just about grabs the vine, and at that point the vine snaps. And by the time that he starts falling, and even parts of the platform that he was coming off from was falling along alongside him, he actually ends up starts to hear Revan's voice. Revan goes like, "Do not forget, Anakin. Feel into the Force." So he ends up falling down, but as he's falling, he feels into the Force, and the Force ends up giving him some kind of falling damage protection, some kind of feeling where once he lands on the ground, he wouldn't be damaged on his feet, on his back. So he lands, but he's somewhat injured. He didn't fully use the Force to prevent his fall. So he ends up reaching out and he's saying, "Somebody help. I hurt my ankle. I need some way to get out of here." And so one last statement from Revan comes out, and Revan says, "Like always, feel the Force. Let it flow through you. Be one with the Force. The Force is strong with you." And so Anakin starts to feel in on the Force while getting himself cross-legged, setting up as some kind of healing for himself. He didn't even know it yet, but he needed to figure out if this was the way to help himself. So he starts feeling into the Force, and as the Force starts to come about, it starts to heal his foot. It starts to heal any remaining injury into his body. So as Anakin awakens from that healing, the physical form of Revan steps back out as the Force Ghost and talks with Anakin. He says, "Don't move quite yet. Allow yourself to finish up healing before you move up. And Anakin says, "But I don't know how to get through this. This is brand new to me. How am I gonna be able to make it back to my Jedi Master Obi-Wan?" And Revan starts to think, "I knew for a fact that you had someone beside you when you entered this planet." So he ends up walking with Anakin for a little while, because Revan knew exactly where to find this Obi-Wan that he got premonitions about. But anyway, as time went on, Anakin ends up trying to figure out, like, okay, I don't know if Obi-Wan is going to understand this once we reach him. And so Revan ends up stating that, like, "It's okay, boy. The reason why we are heading over to your Jedi Master is only because there is something for not just you to take upon, but even for your Jedi Master to take upon." So at that point in time, Anakin and Revan, the Force Ghost of Revan, starts to get very close to where Obi-Wan is. And at this very point in time, Obi-Wan has finally figured out what the natives were all about and what the natives represented. And so Obi-Wan had the premonition of we should return to Coruscant to tell Coruscant of this planet that has gone missing for a millennia now. So, with all that being said, moving over to the story of Qui-Gon Jinn and Dooku. Qui-Gon Jinn and Dooku finally, at this very point in time, realize who the real Sith is. This cloaked being. And so they end up going to a nearby temple, some place that has been designed between the time frame of the Old Republic and the Clone Wars times, where they basically enter this temple and basically open up the supercomputer that's in the center of the temple and talk with Yoda, Mace Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and all these other infamous Jedi Grand Masters of the Council. So, or maybe even just Master. But anyway, as these situations further, they start to have some kind of premonition in the entire force of the Jedi's realize what the Sith really was. Um, Realizing deep down what these Sith really had capabilities of. So Dooku ends up breaking his alliance with uh, with Chancellor Palpatine, formerly known as Darth Sidious, and basically um, starts to kind of just like form his own uh, temple of Force users, where they're not Jedi, but also not even Sith. They're a type of um, Force using contingency users, where it's kind of like they have a third field of being this Jedi. But anyway, going back to the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan being on Coruscant on this very planet that has been found again, where Revan, his ghostly remains are still rummaging around. Anakin ends up seeing Obi-Wan and basically tells Revan to hang here for a second, and goes walking up to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Revan agrees, stays there, and while Anakin talks to Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin says, Obi-Wan, I think I might have discovered something. A very old temple. It seems kind of like a bit Jedi-ish. And so Obi-Wan starts to think, and he's like, so that's what Qui-Gon Jinn was mumbled about. So basically, Obi-Wan asks Anakin, he's like, do you know where this temple is? And Anakin said, no. There's even something even better than the temple. I met with somebody. A ghost, apparently, but it was somebody. So they both walk over to Revan, where he's standing. But the thing is that Revan was currently behind some kind of rocky structure of some sort. So Anakin says to Obi-Wan, okay, here's the person that I've been talking to. His name is Revan. And Obi-Wan was like, this name sounds familiar. And he looks over to his side and sees the Force ghost of Revan. And Obi-Wan was a little bit different compared to what Anakin did when he first saw the Force Ghost of Revan. So Obi-Wan ends up saying, "I heard your name is Revan, right?" And so Revan looks back to him and he says, "Yes, I am he. I am the man called Revan." So Obi-Wan Kenobi ends up saying, "No, good, good. We're going to need some kind of fuel to get back to Coruscant." And so Anakin says, "No, on second thought, Obi-Wan, um, let's stay here on this planet. I actually have learned a lot on this planet." And so Obi-Wan was like, "Ah, okay. I will agree upon those terms if Revan here would be fine with that." And so Revan heard it and replied with, "Yes, it sounds suitable to have the two of you here. I will teach you two things." So, anyway, I'm going to make this the part one of the story. I'll have part two up in a little bit. If anybody really liked this story so far, feel free to hit the like button if you really liked it. Subscribe to our channel. Please feel free to share this to anybody that you feel would be into this, or maybe even somebody who may be a Star Wars fan who would like to hear a what if. And also, as well as this, feel free to comment down below, and as well as even um, being able to send any and or all emojis to this channel. If you feel like you not only liked this but also loved it. I will see you all in our next live or video, whatever it may be that comes next. Thank you very much. Love and light to you all. And as always, peace.